Hello everyone and welcome to this very special video where we'll be taking a look at a game that I've made about 5 to 6 years ago. We'll be going over what is good about it, what's bad, and hopefully you can learn a thing or two from our mistakes. So without further ado, let's get started. So as you can see, I have LD Player open here, which is an Android emulator because this was an Android game. The game was called Sled and it was basically a Line Rider clone, but it also had a puzzle aspect to it. So let's open it up. First thing you can see is it already says made with Unity. So exactly, we're still using Unity. Why is that? Well, it's basically a sunken cost fallacy because we already know Unity for so long, but also Unity is pretty good, has great documentation, great community, things like that. So if you have to choose a game engine, I can recommend Unity. So we just entered the main menu. Let's open up single player. And we get loaded into a map. Let's just open the first level that was open already, and we get dropped into the game. So we're now in the first level that I opened. So there's a lot to unpack over here. First of all, the art. The art is mainly free assets or asset packs. So you can already see it's pretty generic looking. It doesn't really have any distinct art style to it. It's just a mishmash of things. Like you can see our main character, the little knight, that's like moving his eyes very rapidly for some reason. It's basically pixel art, while other things are more detailed, low poly sprites. Another thing that already caught my eye is there's no clear indication what the player should do. So that's also not good. So that's point number one. Always make sure that there is some guidance for your player so you can know what you have to do. Another thing is, if you use asset packs like this, you probably will also get this generic look. It didn't age badly, so to say, but it's also not very attractive anymore. So if you can do it, try to make your own custom art or at least change the asset packs that you use. Another thing you should take into account when you make a game is don't add too much scope to your game. What you see over here is pretty simplistic, but we also added a multiplayer, which there's a whole lot of problems. Let me show you. When we go back to the main menu, and of course there is no way to go back to the main menu from the game, so you have to die or complete a level, but I'll be very sturdy and just close the game, because those damn developers can't do shit. So we're back in the main menu now, and when we open the menu here, we can already see multiplayer. Great, let's get started. Right? Oh, quick login screen. Just need to log in with Facebook. All right, perfect. I don't know why we did that. And oh, we're locked out. SDK has been deprecated. So that's another thing you should probably not do, and that is don't use a single identity provider. In this case, we used Facebook. It's even worse because I really had to search for a build where even the single player didn't require a Facebook sign-in. So I don't know why you're that high on Facebook login, but yeah. Don't do that. So your game wants to use multiplayer. All fine and dandy. Then what do I propose you do? Well, the word single was very important. You can use different authentication methods. For example, Facebook and Google and email or whatever. Or if possible, just don't lock content that doesn't need to be locked behind an arbitrary login. Like I said, the single player is also locked in a later build. This doesn't make any sense at all. And that also immediately brings us to another point that is, well, not very good. And that is, like I said, I had to search for a build. I just couldn't open it in Unity. Why? I don't have the source code anymore. What happened there? Well, I used Unity Teams and there is a limited capacity. So when I started my next project, I just nuked it. Don't do that. So if you really need to make room for your version control system, just download it first, put it in a Dropbox, a OneDrive, whatever, so you at least have one copy of it. Or if you use another tool like Git, plunk it over there. It's very important you keep a backup of your source code, so you can at least, if you 6 years later want to make a video on why your game was pretty terrible, you can still build it. Or, you know, just nostalgia reasons, to have a giggle with your boys. Something we did do good was that we collaborated with others on this project. What do I mean by that? There is music, and Marnix probably will let you hear some of it right now. And this is something I cannot make music. So I partnered up with someone online and we just agreed to work on a project together, and he made the music and it's very cool. So if you have the chance, do make sure you reach out to others in the community, because there are a lot of people that just want to work together on projects. You can do something like a revenue split or whatever. and you can get started on that one, and it compensates your weaknesses. Another thing that is very important is advertising. Like I mentioned, this is an Android game. We'll show you a couple of advertising shots right now. This is something I learned way too late, probably, and that is, even though if your game is free, like Sled was, no one will download it, even if it's free. There is such a market saturation that you really need to focus on marketing. If you think that's bad, oh boy, it's way worse. You have so much competition that you really need a solid marketing strategy, and it's also a reason why I personally don't think that Android is a very good market to go on, because it's, well, a very wide pool of users, but it's also very saturated. Every day hundreds or maybe even thousands of apps are released on the Play Store, and it's very easy to get drowned in the masses. The marketing itself wasn't too horrible. The screenshots were very basic, but, well, it worked for the time. Though, if I have to be critical about it, probably use more than 3 screenshots in your description. Alright, so we are nearing the end of the video, so why did I even share this with all of you? First of all, because there is no shame in looking back on your past projects from when you were just starting out, even though this wasn't when I completely started out, this was already a couple years in. But it's very important that you look back on your projects and realize what you could have done better. I already mentioned a couple of things that I could have done better in this project, and things like that really can help elevate your next projects. So these are things that we are more aware of our own game, Forge Industry. By the way, you can wishlist it down below. Marnix will probably provide you a link for that. So even if your game is commercially a flop, do make sure you take your own lessons from that mistake and realize what you did well and build upon those things. And that about wraps it up. So thank you for watching. If you enjoy this kind of content, well, I'm sorry, we usually do a bit of different kind of content, but you can still subscribe, like, things like that. We mainly focus on game dev specific things. What are the best things you could do as a game developer? If you would like to see more content just like this video, let us know in the comments down below. And until then, bye.